Hello and welcome to Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. I always like to make sure that people know that our guests are also credible people that are speaking to something that they've not only studied but also experienced that you've been to. So.
Most of the discord comes from just a misunderstanding.
Don't give excuse to things that you are supposed to be doing.
The truth is really finally starting to come out.
Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. Hello and welcome to Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. I'm your host, BC, and today we'll be discussing going against the grain. People who are successful doing things that are not the norm within the African community. Today I have with me my guest, Kevin Onyona. He is the owner and founder of Swahili Village, the top-rated African restaurant within the metropolitan area. I also have Feishola Ogunfemi, who is the owner and founder of Statuesque Events, servicing everyone from New York to the Virginia area. And of course, Jane Mannix of Jane Mannix Makeup, who also does everything from the celebrities to even myself today. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So, one of the things that I really find that's great is that you guys all have trades that you studied prior to pursuing, whether it's your passion or something that's not considered to be a doctor, a lawyer, or pharmacist, and you're successful at it. So let me start with you, Kevin. Tell us a little bit about your restaurant and your passion to, start your business.
Thank you for having me, BC. Swahili Village is a concept that was created out of love for cooking. I trained in my professional life to be a priest. I studied theology, philosophy, and psychology in school, intending to be a Catholic priest to serve in that order. But I think there was something much more deeper in me. And finally, I found my calling in the culinary art. I didn't train to be a chef. I had to train myself inside my restaurant to be a chef. So we started this journey 10 years ago. In a small location, not far away from the new location right now. And it was out of need. I would usually go around trying to find a nice African restaurant to enjoy, to take my family to. And for the most part, it was so difficult to find a clean, nice, set African restaurant that was professionally run. And so I said, look, I think there's an opportunity here. And we set about realizing that dream.
Yeah, well, I've had the pleasure to frequent your location. I have to say that if you didn't study it, well, you mastered it in the restaurant because the food is exquisite. So now, where exactly are you guys located in the metropolitan area?
We are located in Beltsville area, on Route 1, along the College Park region.
Okay.
Yeah, the address is actually 10800 Rhode Island Avenue, Beltsville, Maryland.
Wonderful. And what would you say for you was that moment when you said, you know what, I know this isn't what I went to school for, but I just know that this is what I really want to be doing?
Well, BC, I always knew that I had a gift to cook because, I entertained a lot in my house, and whenever I called guests over, friends over, they would be, very intrigued the way I took food and turned it around and made it really flavorful. And so for most part, I would joke with them and tell them, look, eat it for free now because you're going to pay a lot of money for it later on. And it's true, most of them still come and remind me that now we have to pay so much for this food that we used to get for free. But
well, at least you have them still supporting you, so that's really good. Now, Faye, tell us a little bit about your event planning company. I know I followed you for some time, and I know you're an engineer by trade. So talk to us about your shift and how you decided to make that transition.
Yeah, so for me, I actually did study computer engineering at the University of Pennsylvania, and I was really excited. Even though I graduated at a really rough year, I got a job in IT consulting, which I loved. It was my dream job. But immediately after graduating, I enrolled in a pageant, and as part of that, I did a service fundraiser, and it was my first time planning an event on my own. I'd done a lot in school, but it was my first time planning one on my own. As soon as it was over, I was a little bit upset that I didn't have something else to plan for. And Yeah, I started looking for different jobs. I didn't really know what was going on the inside of me, but I've always had a lot of friends who are much older, and eventually they said, if money wasn't an issue, what would you be doing? And I said, wedding planning, but I know no one's going to pay me. Like, people always want these, always want to pay like $1,000 for a wedding planner. And I was really encouraged to learn more. So I enrolled at New York University, learned, completed a certification, and I just started doing events within the African community. I started a few for free, then started charging $500, and I asked them, put my logo on everything. Put it on your backdrop, put it in your program, put it on everything. That's the agreement. And over time, people started learning more about what I did, and I've really grown to love it. It's a very tough industry, but for some reason, I still love it, and awesome. I'm really excited about doing it.
Well, what's really good is that you guys are very successful. And, for those of you that are looking at the show, Jane Mannix actually did my face today. And this isn't the first time we've worked together. I actually met you back when I had my birthday party, and she did my makeup, and you were fantastic. And I know you do a lot of faces, but, in case you guys want to know, tell us a little bit about your work.
Apparently, I've always loved makeup as a young girl. Like, when I was younger, I always put on the liners and all of that, and so I always had a passion for makeup. But I did study finance and business management. But after a while, I didn't feel complete. Like, I was like, what should I do? Like, after my master's, I'm like, what should I do? Like, I need something to. So I decided to go to a makeup school in London School of Beauty and Makeup. And that's how I started. And then when I finished, I started practicing on my friends, and like when we have these parties to go to, I just call a couple of girls out. I do their makeup for free. We all go to the parties and all of that. That's how I started. And then,
that's great.
Yeah, I started from London. I moved to Nigeria for a while, but wasn't doing it for me. Like, so I moved back to London, and then I got married and moved here.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I started doing makeup here.
Well, that's great. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to actually discuss a little bit more about going against the grain part. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome to Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. I always like to make sure that people know that our guests are also incredible people that are speaking to something that they've not only studied but also experiences you've been through. So.
Most of the discord comes from just a misunderstanding.
Don't give excuse to things that you are supposed to be doing.
The truth is really finally starting to come out.
Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. Hello and welcome to Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. I always like to make sure that people know that our guests are also incredible people that are speaking to something that they've not only studied but also experiences you've been through. So.
Most of the discord comes from just a misunderstanding.
Don't give excuse to things that you are supposed to be doing.
The truth is really finally starting to come out.
Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. Hello and welcome to Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. I'm your host, BC, and today we'll be discussing going against the grain. People who are successful doing things that are not the norm within the African community. Today I have with me my guest, Kevin Onyona. He is the owner and founder of Swahili Village, the top-rated African restaurant within the metropolitan area. I also have Feishola Ogunfemi, who is the owner and founder of Statuesque Events, servicing everyone from New York to the Virginia area. And of course, Jane Mannix of Jane Mannix Makeup, who also does everything from the celebrities to even myself today. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
So, one of the things that I really find that's great is that you guys all have trades that you studied prior to pursuing, whether it's your passion or something that's not considered to be a doctor, a lawyer, or pharmacist, and you're successful at it. So let me start with you, Kevin. Tell us a little bit about your restaurant and your passion to, start your business.
Thank you for having me, BC. Swahili Village is a concept that was created out of love for cooking. I trained in my professional life to be a priest. I studied theology, philosophy, and psychology in school, intending to be a Catholic priest to serve in that order. But I think there was something much more deeper in me. And finally, I found my calling in the culinary art. I didn't train to be a chef. I had to train myself inside my restaurant to be a chef. So we started this journey 10 years ago in a small location, not far away from the new location right now. And it was out of need. I would usually go around trying to find a nice African restaurant to enjoy, to take my family to. And for the most part, it was so difficult to find a clean, nice, set African restaurant that was professionally run. And so I said, look, I think there's an opportunity here. And we set about realizing that dream.
Yeah. Well, I've had the pleasure to frequent your location. I have to say that if you didn't study it, well, you mastered it in the restaurant because the food is exquisite. So now, where exactly are you guys located in the metropolitan area?
We are located in Beltsville area, on Route 1, along the College Park region.
Okay.
Yeah. The address is actually 10800 Rhode Island Avenue, Beltsville, Maryland.
Wonderful. And what would you say for you was that moment when you said, you know what, I know this isn't what I went to school for, but I just know that this is what I really want to be doing?
Well, BC, I always knew that I had a gift to cook because, I entertained a lot in my house, and whenever I called guests over, friends over, they would be, very intrigued the way I took food and turned it around and made it really flavorful. And so for most part, I would joke with them and tell them, look, eat it for free now because you're going to pay a lot of money for it later on. And it's true, most of them still come and remind me that now we have to pay so much for this food that we used to get for free. But
well, at least you have them still supporting you, so that's really good. Now, Faye, tell us a little bit about your event planning company. I know I followed you for some time, and I know you're an engineer by trade. So talk to us about your shift and how you decided to make that transition.
Yeah, so for me, I actually did study computer engineering at the University of Pennsylvania, and I was really excited. Even though I graduated at a really rough year, I got a job in IT consulting, which I loved. It was my dream job. But immediately after graduating, I enrolled in a pageant, and as part of that, I did a service fundraiser, and it was my first time planning an event on my own. I'd done a lot in school, but it was my first time planning one on my own. As soon as it was over, I was a little bit upset that I didn't have something else to plan for. And I started looking for different jobs. I didn't really know what was going on the inside of me, but I've always had a lot of friends who are much older, and eventually they said, if money wasn't an issue, what would you be doing? And I said, wedding planning, but I know no one's gonna pay me. Like, people always want these, always wanna pay like $1,000 for a wedding planner. And I was really encouraged to learn more. So I enrolled at New York University, learned, completed a certification, and I just started doing events within the African community. I started a few for free, then started charging $500, and I asked them, put my logo on everything. Put it on your backdrop, put it in your program, put it on everything. That's the agreement. And over time, people started learning more about what I did, and I've really grown to love it. It's a very tough industry, but for some reason, I still love it, and awesome. I'm really excited about doing it.
Well, what's really good is that you guys are very successful. And, for those of you that are looking at the show, Jane Mannix actually did my face today. And this isn't the first time we've worked together. I actually met you back when I had my birthday party, and she did my makeup, and you were fantastic. And I know you do a lot of faces, but, in case you guys want to know, tell us a little bit about your work.
Apparently, I've always loved makeup as a young girl. Like, when I was younger, I always put on the liners and all of that, and so I always had a passion for makeup. But I did study finance and business management, But after a while, I wasn't like, I didn't feel complete. Like I was like, what should I do? Like after my master's, I'm like, what should I do? Like I need something to. So I decided to go to a makeup school in London, London School of Beauty and Makeup. And that's how I started. And then when I finished, I started practicing on my friends. And like when we have these parties to go to, I just call a couple of girls out and do their makeup for free. We all go to the parties and all of that. That's how I started. And then,
That's great.
yeah, I started from London. I moved to Nigeria for a while, but wasn't doing it for me. Like, so I moved back to London and then I got married and moved here.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I started doing makeup here.
Well, that's great. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to actually discuss a little bit more about going against the grain part. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching Africa on Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. We were discussing going against the grain, and with me, Kevin, Faye, and Jane. Now, the question I have for all of you is, why aren't you studying or working in the fields that you studied? I mean, Kevin, you were on your way to being a priest, and Faye, you studied at a top Ivy League school, you know, engineering. You should be designing the next big software for a major company. And Jane, with a background in finance and business management, I would think you would be developing the next, you know, business plan for a Fortune 500 company. So how did we get where we are now?
I guess in my case, the priesthood career was cut short because I didn't complete the full training to be ordained. And so in the process, I made a transition to study marketing. And so I got a job with General Motors back in Nairobi. And through that process, I came here to visit my girlfriend back then, who's now my wife.
Good.
And she wouldn't let me go back.
Okay.
So, and then in my career now as in marketing here in America, I worked for Home Depot Home Services. In top management, I was awarded all kinds of honors as top manager, top everything. I wear a ring because I was top career manager for Home Depot Home Services for 10 years as the best manager. And that was a lot of stress also because in America, corporate life is no life.
Yeah, it could be stressful.
It was really stressful.
But it sounds like you've definitely had a career path of success, but you put all of that on the back burner to own a restaurant.
Yes, I got very good training from Home Depot because after you worked for the specific area that I worked, you can't bear any more stress than what I had because I had the opportunity to manage about 120 salesmen, and because of the nature of just numbers in the professional career of salesmanship, you get really stressed. Yeah. So in fact, it got me to where one time on a cruise that I'd won because again, of course, I was the best in these areas of management. I decided when I come back, I am not going to work for this company.
That's it. You weren't going to.
I was done.
Now, Faye, with you, you know, that transition, I mean, you studied at an Ivy League school. You got a degree. You came out making really good money, and you said, you know what, that's...
Yeah, for me, that was the biggest part of the struggle, was the money. Because I'd seen wedding planners, and I'd seen what they did, and I've seen the way that people talk about wedding planners, particularly to be honest, in our community, where it's like, oh, I'll just get someone for $1,000, you know, and you see how hard they work, and how much of a challenge it is, because managing people is always hard. And so for me, you know, immediately after college, I did have a pretty good salary. Generally speaking, when you study engineering, you have a pretty good salary, even just starting out. It was really hard for me to get to that place, but going to NYU really taught me that you can make money if you're good, but it's going to take a while. And over time, I've learned that that's generally true of business in general. You know, you don't just walk into a business and just start making lots of money. You have to work at it, and you have to be really passionate about it. Also, I was good at computer engineering. I was good in my job in IT consulting, but I never felt that just because you're good at something means that you have to stay there. You know, I think that you can want more for your life, and for me, I wanted more. And, you know, being an event planner has allowed me to explore more than even event planning. Owning my own company, I've learned a lot about marketing. I've learned a lot about customer service, etc. So that's something I wanted to explore.
That's very interesting. So not only did you go to NYU, but you then after that went and studied at, well, you started, at Penn with an engineering degree, but then you went to NYU to study event planning. Right. So you got 2 degrees to get to where you are now in pursuing your passion.
Sort of, yeah. So I did study at their School of Continuing Professional Studies. I basically went there at night after work, and, you know, took courses until I finished.
And this is while working in your professional career. Now, let me ask you all this, and, you know, you guys can all speak to this. Coming from our community where there's the expectation to, you know, either be a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, or like yourself, an engineer, what would you say, Jane, for you was the hardest part of transitioning from your, you know, field of study as a finance person to now becoming a makeup artist and owning your own business?
For me, like, finance wasn't really my passion, because I remember when I said to my dad, when I wanted to go to the university, I said I wanted to become an actress. It's like, what? You're not ready. Like, when you're ready to go to school, then let me know. Then I decided to go for finance because my dad had a background in finance. And after that, I went ahead and studied finance and business management, still pleasing my dad. Like,
so that was never your desire?
My design and all that. So after a while, like, I just realized, like, I have this passion. Like, I just love making women feel beautiful. All my friends ask me for advice. Oh, what should I wear? How should I do my hair? This and that. So that's where it came from. Like, I followed my passion, and that's how I went into makeup. I didn't tell my dad about it.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, was that easy for you? Or
I didn't tell him for a while because I already had experience back then when he said, oh, you're not serious, like, you're not ready to go to. So I paid my fees by myself. After my master's, I decided to pay my fees, and I went to London School of Beauty and Makeup. And after that, I did it for a while, and I was just doing it behind the scenes and doing it for a while. And then recently he came to visit. Then I think he started seeing my work on social media, and recently he came to visit me, and then he brought me brushes. That was very exciting.
Oh, wow. So now it's like that's the approval.
He really walked into Bobbi Brown and got me brushes. I was like, okay, this is an approval. And that made me excited because he has accepted what I wanted to do. But it wasn't really hard for me to transition because I had friends who supported me, and women, like, I have a lot of women and friends. I have a lot of friends. So they look up to me, they ask me all this. So it just made it easy. I just had to hide it from my dad for a little while.
And that was going to be my question is, do you sometimes feel like there's this pressure to go, you know, like, be successful in a field that just seems comfortable, like you're always going to make money? And do you think that a lot of people tend not to jump out and take that leap of faith to pursue what's really their passion? Like you said, you had a burning desire to entertain people with food, and, you know, you've always loved to put events together. Do you feel like you did it when you wanted to, or do you feel like you had to wait a while because you wanted to make sure that the approval was there?
Well, I didn't have to ask anybody that question. I was actually ready because I had broken the ceiling pretty much in my professional career where I wanted to be, well, money-wise, and just being able to understand the corporate American structure. So I was done there. Now I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And to be honest with you, when I opened the restaurant, I opened it for fun. I wanted to just have a good time in there. For the first 3 months when we opened, I gave food for free.
Well, when you're doing something you love, it should be fun, right? It shouldn't feel like work. That's awesome. So, Faye, you've been doing events now for how long?
So 7 years.
7 years. And you now recently opened up your own practice.
Yeah, an office.
Office, should I say?
Office, yes.
Yeah. All right, very good. Well, let's take a quick break. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue this conversation about going against the grain. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're watching Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa.
Looking for a new dining experience? The Swahili Village offers mouth-watering selections. Try a truly tasty cultural cuisine and delicious authentic Swahili cooked dishes. Swahili Village offers an excellent tilapia grilled beef served with exceptional sauces and vegetables. It's the ultimate African safari in a unique, relaxing atmosphere with a pleasant ambience. The Swahili Village is an amazing destination restaurant if you want exceptional service, a tasty menu to choose from. Step out of the norm and step into the Swahili Village, located at 10800 Rhode Island Avenue, Beltsville, Maryland. Swahili Village offers corporate lunches, happy hours, daily specials, banquets, mixers, and birthday specials. Asante Sana. Thank you.
All right, welcome back to Africa in Demand. Again, we've been sitting here discussing going against the grain, and I'm sitting here with a panel of very successful people running their own business, doing what they love. And, you know, Faye, when we left, we were discussing your new office that you opened. And funny thing you told me earlier is that you actually still do both.
Yeah.
Because you still do work in engineering, but you're doing your events. How is the balance of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a few things. So when I first started doing events, I was still working, and I did that for years. And after a while, I did leave my IT consulting job for a period of almost a year. And I spent that year doing a lot of networking and really just getting myself organized. I think that I was just running, but I wasn't really organized and efficient in the way I was running.
Which is
my
important.
business. So I spent that year really just getting myself organized and figuring out where I wanted to go next. And then, you know, I am very much so a Christian, and I kept having this vision of this office. And I really wanted to also own a home. So and everyone knows about the home buying process in America. You do have to have that W-2. So I decided to go back to work. And that's why I don't think anything in life is ever lost. Having an engineering degree and having that past experience made it very easy for me to go back to work because I had the experiences and I had something that could, you know, do that. Now I got myself extremely organized to the point that yes, I still take clients, I still go on site visits, and last year we still did 21 events. And we were able to balance it, and I still went on vacation a couple of times, and I am very involved in my ministry, so I still have a life outside of that. I really think it has a lot to do with being organized.
I was going to say, sounds like balance is the
My entire
key.
life is in Google Calendar, okay, so I know what I'm doing every minute of the day.
That's great. And Jane, for you, I know one of the things you had mentioned is that you're looking to broaden what you do. And you've been doing makeup now for how long?
7 years old.
7 years. And you started, tell us about how I know you said you started by going to school to get it, but how did you build your book of business to get to where you are now?
Well, it was really difficult because, like we all know, makeup artists are all over the place. Like it's a saturated market, but I always say that the sky is big enough for all of us to fly. So, and the most important thing was me being true to myself and being unique to my own style. So I started off in London, and with my experience, I noticed the makeup in London is really different from the makeup we do here in America. In America, people would like it a little bit louder, and so that also was a challenge for me. I started in London, and I had a few clients, and then I said, oh, why don't I move to Nigeria and start focus on bridal makeup, because we in Nigerians love elaborate weddings, and then I think I'll make a lot of money there. Then I went, Nigeria wasn't cutting it off for me, so I need to go back to London. I went back to London, ended up getting married, got here, and then I started here. So being here was really challenging for me, but I had to work with a few other makeup artists. When they had shows, I'll take shows for free, and as long as they promote me and all of that. And then
So it sounds like everybody ultimately had to put in their, you have to put in your dues.
You have to pay the price, exactly. You have to put in your dues to actually get there. And then I just did a little bit of networking and all of that. And that's how I started growing and then I always make sure I stay true to myself, stay true to my own unique style, because what my clients love about me is that my makeup is subtle, like it's not too much, it's light, like they don't feel all kicked up and all of that. They want to look like themselves. They don't want you to change them. So that helped me also. Like, so I have people calling me that, oh, your makeup is really good. Like, I still look like myself. Like, I see your pictures and people look really good. So that
I think I
also-
remember saying that to you when you did
so
mine
I'm
as well.
looking to expand and like start, because I'm actually certified to teach and also to apply. So I'm looking to start a business where I train apprentices, like people who are willing to learn and work with me. I've trained people who go on the job with me, because I do have clients, up to 8 to 10 clients in a day, and it can be really stressful, but I love it, so I don't complain because I love what I do.
That's
It gives
awesome.
me joy,
That's awesome.
what I do.
I think one of the things that, you know, a lot of people need to know is, you know, all of you guys have said that you were giving away food. Where was I when you were doing that? I should have been around. But I think it's awesome to know that you guys started somewhere and built up to here. What advice would you give to other people who maybe are concerned about stepping out and going against the grain, if you will, and not necessarily conforming to maybe pleasing someone else or their family, or feeling the pressure to not pursue a passion that is not necessarily along those other career paths? How would you encourage them to start?
I would say for me, you have to be clear on who you are and what you're willing to give up. I mean, for me, similarly, one thing I didn't mention before is that, believe it or not, I make the same amount right now in my business as I do in my job. It's not a side hustle, it's my business. So, but that said, you have to know what you're willing to give up. I was willing to give up late nights of working on my business. I was willing to give up some of my vacation time at work to work on my business. If you are not willing to do that, then maybe it is the right choice for you to just jump, quit everything and focus on your business. But that means you may give up, having that extra cash to travel and having extra cash to pay rent. You may need to live with your parents.
And you need that to fund the business. So, I mean, you need
may
income
to live
coming
with your
in.
parents. You need to figure out for yourself what you're willing to give up to get what you want, because it's going to take time and you're the one who has to live with it.
I should add to that. I would say never be afraid, because that was my own. Like, never be afraid to be who you are. Never be afraid to reach out. Never be afraid to reach out for what you want, because sometimes, like, you can get discouraged. Like, oh, everyone is doing it. Am I good enough? You question yourself. So never ever be afraid. Be unique. Like, just understand that you are unique. I tell everyone you are unique in your own way. You're beautiful in your own way. So always be true to yourself. Never be afraid, and then the sky is big enough.
Yeah.
I think in my case, what I would advise most people who are trying to get into business, just like they said, is it is you. It is up to you. Yeah. It's not going to be up to anybody else. I left a good paying job, though stressful. Which job isn't stressful? Restaurant business is very, very, very stressful. So
even more stressful when you're working for
absolutely,
yourself, actually.
Absolutely. So it is you. It is about you. You need to make sure that it's nobody's holding you back. You will hold yourself back by fearing and by thinking that the water is too murky. Yeah, you must jump in. You must go in. Now, in my case, I quit completely. I quit a job, and my wife just had a baby, and I just told her, I'm done. She didn't ask a question. She didn't doubt me.
So it's
what
important
next?
to know that you have somebody that believes in you
Yes.
too, then, because
Yes.
I think some of the issues, that I hear from people is, if you don't feel the support, sometimes you're nervous to take that leap. If you don't feel you have someone in your corner, you hesitate on pursuing your own dreams. And it sounds like collectively, you guys are saying, to our audience, don't be afraid. Yeah. Take the leap of faith and pursue something that you really want to be doing.
Yes, especially spouses.
Yeah.
Because I believe, I'm of the opinion that maybe I could have doubted myself. If she was to, present this picture, oh, now we have a baby, what are we going to do? Where are we going to get the income from? But she didn't. She said, what next? I said, restaurant. And she said, go for it.
That's great.
So yeah, it's that support, that structure of support at home is very important. I can't say enough of that. But restaurant business is interesting. I had to go back into my own kitchen, hire a consultant, train myself to be a chef for 4 years. Well, I didn't hire him for 4 years, but he would come, every so often to teach me how to run
your business
line.
That's
because
great. That's
because
great.
it's nice that you know how to cook and you can cook well at home. But what about that, 500 people out there waiting for their food?
Well, thank you guys so much just for being here today. But just very quickly, if you guys can let our audience know how people can find about you, Jane, your website, how they can follow you.
Okay, on Instagram, JaneMannix_makeup, and then I have a website, www.janemannix.com, and yeah, basically that's, and Facebook also. I have a page on Facebook, Jane Mannix Makeup, also on Facebook. Yeah.
And Faye, yourself?
You can see more of our weddings at statuesqueevents.com or Instagram, search for Statuesque Events. I also do speak and teach, and there you can check me on Instagram at Faye Shola or fayeshola.com.
All right.
Well, I have this big name, Swahili Village, so I have the privilege to be able to just say, go to Swahili Village on all platforms. You'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, you'll find us on Instagram, and obviously we have a website, all that good stuff. But we also encourage, young men and women who may be in doubt, please, the best thing you can do yourself is to work for yourself. Yes, we just finished a very good year last year on an African restaurant. I think we were rated the best African restaurant in the Midwest and the entire East Coast. We're waiting for somebody to challenge us on the West Coast, and we haven't had that yet. And we're now in the process of building a restaurant in downtown DC on H Street.
Oh wow, that's great.
It's H and 13th Street, 1301 H Street is going to be our new location. There, we're going to showcase the best of Africa. I think we believe that it's going to be one of the best restaurants in DC ever, period. So I'm just so happy that you guys invited me to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you guys, and thank you guys for watching. Absolutely. You'll see the links for all of their contacts. So please make sure you support our guests today. And again, thanks for joining us on Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. We'll see you next time.
You tell me that you love me, baby. Why you say you don't? You love me, I love you. You need me, I need you. You kiss me, I kiss you. You love me, I love you. You tell me that you love me, baby. Why you say you don't?
Hello and welcome to Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. I always like to make sure that people know that our guests are also credible people that are speaking to something that they've not only studied but also experiences you've been to. So.
Most of the discord comes from just a misunderstanding.
Don't give excuse to things that you are supposed to be doing.
The truth is really finally starting to come out.
Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. Hello and welcome to Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. I'm your host, BC, and today my special guest is someone that I like to call a sister, a friend, a musical genius who's been doing music for quite a long time, blessing people all over the world. She's an international artist, all the way from Nigeria by way of Canada. Help me welcome TolumiDE to the show. TolumiDE, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited to have you be here. You are someone that I followed for so long. Your music is soulful. It's got flair. It's fun. It has energy. It makes you feel. And I loved that about the uniqueness of who you are. So I'm excited that you're here today because we've been trying to do this for a long time.
I know. And thanks so much for being so consistent and like pushing and okay, we're gonna get this done. And today was like, okay, this is the day.
We're here, we're doing it. And I mean, I talk about you and other artists that I've met along the way, and you're just someone who I just think you're so unique in your art, right? You know, just in learning about how you started and where your music came from and seeing you do shows and opening acts and festivals, you know, you could tell that you really enjoy music, right? And how long would you say you've been singing, or that you knew that this was what you were meant to do?
Wow. Well, it all kind of really started when I was in a primary school in Nigeria. So I went to primary school and also secondary school there. And I sang in school in a cultural group, and I also sang in church. So I think that's really my foundation. I didn't think of it as a career. I just thought of it as in like I love to sing. And I kind of started noticing I was getting better over time, being able to do a few runs here and there. And career-wise, it literally just fell in my lap when I went to university in Canada. Well, actually, I went to high school there first. I did 1 year in secondary school there before I went to uni. And while I was there, my part-time job was working as a hair salon, braiding hair. And on one particular day, the owner of the salon, her sister came in and said she was looking for a singer for her reggae band. And the friend that got me the job, you know, he was like, oh, you should sing right here and there for her. So I sang, I auditioned literally in the salon. And then she asked me to come and join her band. So I think my experience now performing and touring with this band was really where I was open to music as a second career, as a career option, because then, you know, singing at different shows, rehearsing, recording, and learning about this whole music industry, and you know how it's, you know, it really is an industry, and you can make a kind of a living from it. So I've journeyed, you know, I definitely have to kind of give my, you know, big props to my secondary school time and certainly church as the foundation. And then everything has just kind of led on from then on, you know, after college, I sang all through college with the band. And then when I left and started, you know, working as a, you know, full-time designer, I studied fine art. After a year or two into that, I was like, okay, well, let me start this thing as a solo career.
Yeah, because you did graphic design for a while, and that's something that you're also very talented. This is a lady of multiple talents. Not only does she sing, but the art translates into graphics. Now, there's something about your music, right? You have a way you describe your music, right? You call it Suya Soul.
Yeah.
Right? And when you say that, in my mind, I instantly have an image of what that means. But when I also see you perform, I'm like, it's appropriately Suya Soul. So tell our audience a little bit about why that's how you describe it, right? Because there's a flair of R&B, and there's the fusion, and there's a little bit of a dynamic to your style, but you coined it as Suya Soul.
Well, of course, when I journeyed and decided to do this music thing, my foundation was, you know, R&B soul. I love this great soul artists, your Sade and Whitney Houston, Anita Baker, and of course, from the 90s, Brandy. And then, of course, African pop artists, Onyeka Onwenu, Christy Eseni-Bokwin, Angelique Kidjo. So when I started thinking about the sound I knew I wanted it to be soulful. I knew I wanted it to have definitely an African flair. And suya, for anyone who doesn't know, is an amazing flavorful kebab. So popular in Nigeria and definitely in other parts of West Africa. thinly sliced, nice, flavorful, spicy. And so I thought, you know what, this version of soul that I'm offering does have an element of African flavorful,
Yeah.
vibe to it, spicy vibe to it, and at least an African flair that I'm bringing to this soul genre that's really, music for the heart, from the heart to the heart, and filled with a lot of emotion and just real life scenarios. So yeah, so that's why I decided, let me just call this version of soul music Suya Soul. And
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Thank you. It tells a story of really where I'm coming from,
Yeah.
and also what people um will be looking forward to, selling some energy, some spice,
Yeah.
and flavor, as much as I can add to this genre of soul. So certainly there's an element of, Afro pop, there's an element of Afro soul, there's some reggae. Of course, I brought that reggae vibe into it, some jazz and a bit of Afrobeat, but certainly trying to add these various influences that have traveled with me into my sound. And so far, I can see people enjoying it as you have shared, which I'm just so delighted to hear.
Yeah.
That people are vibing with it, and there's certainly something for, I find for I'm always thinking about how can I kind of connect to a wide range of audiences and share my experiences through it, and share something that's enlightening about culture, about African culture, of course, also my culture, Nigerian, Yoruba culture that I'm coming from, that at least that I've inherited, that I can share with the world.
And just speaking about that, I'm happy you mentioned that culture, because you are so intentional about making sure that not only your look, your style, your fashion, your movements on stage have that flair of your culture. And that's something I admire so much, because I think it shows that you are proud of who you are, your heritage and your background, and you don't mind intertwining that into your art. So you mentioned, again, going back to the suya, and one thing I know is when I eat suya that's spicy and good, I start to move, and it's this excitement of, this is good, I want some more. And you even do that in your performances on stage. So I noticed you've done a lot of festivals. You've done festivals in Canada, overseas in Africa. You do a lot of festivals here in the DMV, and you even were part of starting a festival, Fest Africa, if I'm not mistaken. That's where we met. And it seems as though you love to be in the crowd with the audience, and you come alive there. Is that a preference? Is that intentional versus maybe doing larger venues or events where maybe it's not always as intimate? Or do you kind of mix it both? Where do you prefer to be?
I like a mixture of both. I actually really do. I love festivals because you get a wide range of audiences. You're not limited to, sometimes the jazz venues, it has to be a certain age limit, but then at the festivals it's like a family affair. You have your young ones, the older crowd. You just have more family gathering type style. And then of course the lounges or any sit down vibes is there are more adults in the audience, but then it's also relatively intimate. I find like I'm possibly even sharing more. I have a bit more time, but sometimes festivals you're only given a slot to fill, whether it's a 45-minute to an hour slot. So sometimes with my headline shows, I'd have two shows that are an hour set. So that's 2 hours of time to dedicate, just share and vibe with the music, vibe with the my musicians that perform with me. So both stages really have a place so dear to my heart. Recently, at least this year, I performed at quite a few festivals.
Yes, you've been busy. You've been very busy.
I was out of this 2020 era. There were quite a few gigs I was grateful to get, because it just definitely reminded me of how much I do enjoy being on stage and connecting, seeing people vibe, seeing people smile, seeing people happy. seeing people attentive, sometimes you have those moments where you can dial in that they're just listening and engaging and just delighted to be, learning something new.
Yeah.
And so I was certainly grateful to perform on the different stages. One major performance I had was opening for an amazing artist, Such, at City Winery in Washington, D.C. And I've been following her for quite a few years. She was on American Idol, one of the contestants.
Nice.
I really admire her
Yeah.
growth. And so I was so excited for the opportunity to open for her and the opportunity to also be at City Winery, because that's an amazing, legendary stage to be. That's
It is.
it's in various parts of the states as well.
Yeah.
So I'll say that would be a highlight of certainly my concerts that I had for this year. And then recently I performed at the Celebrate Africa Festival in Maryland, which was wonderful. It had myself and, oh gosh, it was like a slew of so many amazing, talented African artists, and they had me close the show, which I was grateful for, and we had a good time, really good time. So I'm looking forward to more of those shows here, and also selling the opportunity to travel as well.
Yeah.
I tour UK with Afrobeat High Life Band Toby Foye early on in the summer, which was also
that had to have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, oh, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. And he's an amazing.
And you've worked with so many artists, so many celebrities, and you mentioned your recent opening act or closing act, and I know you've worked with you're inspired by people that I actually love listening to their music, and Sade Adu being one of the people that I truly admire. My daughter's named Sade after her because Sade, just because it's a name I've always loved, and she's one of our queens from Africa, obviously. But when you think about all of the people you've worked with, and you think about all the artists that have come after you, right? You do a great mixture. You mentioned all the different genres that you represent, and that's one thing I love is like, if you're going to listen to TolumiDE, she has something for everyone. So you're never going to be left out, right? And so depending on the mood I'm in, you're giving me that, and I can turn to that, and your albums are very collaborative in that way. Who would you say in this day and age are some of the people you would love to collaborate with?
Well, oh gosh, there's so many amazing artists. I really like Lyra. Lyra is from South Africa, amazing soulful artist. Gosh, there's Amanda Black, that's also lovely, from South Africa. In Nigeria, there's Yemi Alade.
Yes.
Of course, Tiwa Savage, Waje. I think I'm very, very open to collaborate. I feel like all the lovely queens have just have their own unique take on just exploring this music world, and so I'm an open book and just always open to collaborate with anyone that's open to collaborate with me. But also my brand is also really always trying to, of course, bring it home, highlight the culture, and find ways to enlighten. So either way, whatever subject we collaborate in, I would always want it to have an element of positive vibes, feel good vibes. Of course, the culture, heritage, and I imagine, like, who I'm vibing off with too would have that. We'll also have that in mind as well.
Yeah. Now there's I was following you, I think one time on, I can't remember if it was Facebook or Instagram, and I saw you at the Grammys. Yeah. And I was like, my sister's at the Grammy, and you gave us an inside backstage look at everything. Now you do a little bit with the Grammys, right? You sit on a board that works with music more on the international level. And to me, that is such an exciting stage to be part of. And, I want to talk about what that experience was like for you and how you even got involved in that, and what you see as what that stage represents for artists who are starting their journey, in the middle of it, or who've even gotten a chance to be awarded on that large level. As someone who's received awards yourself, I'm sure you know what that gratifying, time must feel like for people. And you get to be backstage and see all of it and go to the after parties and, vibe with these people. So what is that like for those of us who have not experienced that yet?
Wow, it was so amazing. It was so amazing. So I got to go. So I'm a member, I'm a Grammy member, and I'm with the Washington DC chapter because the Grammy has chapters in a few states. And so I'm with the Washington DC, and I've been a member for probably going about 6-7 years now. And of course, ecstatic to get the invite and then to be eligible to join. And of course, eligibility comes from having credits. At the time, it was really credits of, having a catalog of music that's properly, documented, which is, I encourage anyone who is going to the music industry to, everything you release, make sure you have good information about your name, and everything is burned into your all this information is burnt into your music, so that you are getting credit for your releases. And so in 2020 was the first time I got to attend the Grammys, and it was so amazing to see. I was just bouncing off the walls, seeing artists of various categories, various genres, winners, nominees. I mean, you could see, apart from maybe those that were getting ready to perform, of course, they had to be backstage and get ready for those. You could bump into anyone. I think I saw Wyclef, I saw Emily King, another artist I admire so much, her music. I love her music. And in the area, a few others, the ceremony has two parts. So there's one that's not kind of on the primetime telecast. There's one like earlier on in the day, and that has all the genres that are not in the primetime telecast, but are shown on their website. And so it was great to be there to see, Angelique Kidjo, PJ Merton, all these amazing artists, nominees, win awards, and some categories too that you may not have had so much, a lot, of course, there's instrumental, there's jazz, a lot of categories that one is aware of, but you probably don't pay as much attention to because it may not be your primary genre. But it was an amazing experience, and I certainly encourage, anyone in this music industry to, it's peers voting on peers, so it's that much more rewarding when you do get recognized for your craft in that arena.
So, that's amazing. That's amazing. I loved seeing everything. Well, TolumiDE, I'm so excited that you're here. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. You're watching Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. We'll be right back.
Reminisce on the day, bring back the day, hanging out and playing games. Bring back the day, didn't need much money to have a good time. Bring back the day, bring back the day, bring back the day, and go back to old school.
All right, and we are back. If you are just joining us, I am sitting here with the beautiful, talented, multi-talented artist, Miss TolumiDE. Now, I said this before, I love your voice. It's so unique. I know when I'm hearing you, and I think that speaks volume to the type of artist you are. You've put out a few albums, right? You started with My Love, and then you had your other artists, Mama Sunshine. And they both had like a little different flair, right? You mentioned that one was really more so speaking to, overcoming challenges and obstacles. And I think one thing I love is that your song tells a story, whether it's to celebrate life or to understand a journey or to connect people. it fills your heart. And I think that's that mixture of you having a little bit of gospel and fusion and soul, right, and R&B mixed into it. What inspires you, and do you write your own music? What inspires the songs that make up your albums?
Well, songwriting for me is quite a personal. Like right now, at least when I decided to take on this, task of okay, well, I like to sing. I have to have something to sing about. It was, well, let me just kind of keep it as organic and as real and as personal as I possibly can, because us as humans, there's going to be someone else that's going to be able to relate to what I'm sharing. At least one person out there. Yeah, it's not just exclusive to, how I'm feeling. And so, the themes I kind of just wrote down like, okay, I know I want to talk about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to talk about, I want to have some dance fun songs, so I literally wrote those down. I said, okay, so when I'm songwriting, it's either me writing different lyrics down that that I'm attached to, or just singing into my phone.
Yeah.
If something comes to mind, or sometimes comes to mind when I'm in the shower, and then I'll quickly go and grab my phone.
You need to have a mic everywhere in your house so that
I really do.
you're like, oh my goodness, inspiration. So inspiration comes from anywhere from you, but it is truly personal, like you said.
It is. So My Love was really just, of course, is a title track from the song. I had written other ones, but at this point, when I wrote that, I had just come back home from work, and I was, because I still had my 9 to 5 working as a graphic designer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just in my car feeling, it was a summer. I remember the weather was nice, and I just kind of sighed. I was like, man, I'm just grateful to get home safely, because I think I traveled like an hour from Baltimore to DC, and and I was like, man, to not been hit by any bad drivers, and then I think my mind just started thinking of like various, just various things I felt like I'd been blessed with, and then I started, man, my love, and then just started writing. Like I started writing and singing along. And then I literally just finished writing the song, most of it, fleshing out just my thoughts in that moment in the car. And then I reached out to a producer in Memphis that I had been introduced to, relatively introduced to a while back. And I kind of had his name in my contacts, thinking, okay, when I had a nice, good song, I knew he'd be able to rock out to, then I'll work with him.
You'll reach out.
I would reach out, and I did. I flew out to Memphis, and we recorded 3 songs. I recorded 3 songs with him. So My Love, More Than You'll Ever Know, and What I'd Like to Be. And yeah, so for the My Love album, I actually really worked with various producers. I worked with him. I worked with Jaja Bashingezi, Blaze Tangalo, producers really of various heritages. Terry Poindexter is African American. Blaze is Congo. Of course, there was also Nigeria. It was a mixture, and I was actually intentional about really trying to make sure that it was a nice fusion of exchange, dialogue of Africans in diaspora, really.
Yeah. Which I think is also part of what's unique about you, is like your music it crosses over. Like I feel South Africa in your songs. I feel Cameroon. I feel Nigeria. I feel the R&B that's very American. And I think that the fact that you just said it's very intentional who you work with shows in your collaboration and your style, right? It's that thing that makes your music what it is and why it could be picked up off the shelf and people will feel a little bit of everything. You recently, also talked about your newest album, right? So talk to us about that. What are you working on, and what's next for you when it comes to like your music and what you want to do, right? Do you have that already mapped out? Are you in the studio recording now?
Oh yes, of course. Always in the studio, going back to think of a new song or a remix to a song. I'm excited. The current record I'm pushing right now is entitled Throwback, which
Throwback, yes. I love the look you have out there so far. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm getting good feedback on that, and I'm really grateful for it. It certainly has I mean, I was going for a feel good vibe. Was right out of 2020. And I was like, man, we all need to just elevate it. We need to just 1-2 step. We just need some feel good vibes, happy vibes, and grateful vibes, So, grateful for the memories, the good memories, because I knew, we're coming from people with, not too good memories. And of course,
just coming off of COVID, right? Like that was a tough time for so many people. So we absolutely need some feel good. I agree.
Yeah, we needed it so much. So that was really the idea for the song. And Pushing It is the first single from my next album, which I actually am gonna title Suya Soul. I figured, since
Yes.
I'm
Yeah, I
on this,
knew it. I was feeling something with that Suya so that we were going to get an album.
it has to be called Suya Soul, And so, yes, the first single I'm pushing to release. I've shot a few videos actually because I got to visit Nigeria and Ghana early on this year. So I did shoot some videos for some of the songs coming out on that. I did also shoot a video in Colombia when I was there.
Wow.
So I'm excited about the next few singles coming out. They'll be rolling out from the album, and I hope people vibe from it. I mean, the idea is really for the Suyaso to really try and, of course, touch as give a nice fusion of sound and have something for, of course, everybody and also the ladies out there, and yeah, I'm looking forward to certainly get feedback and have everyone just have a good time listening to the songs on the album.
Well, we cannot wait for you to drop. I love the throwback. I'm already excited in my mind thinking of how much fun you're going to make this, and definitely can't wait to see the videos. Before we go, there are two things that I want to, one last thing I want to ask you about, and then I want to play a little game with you. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
So, your hair is unique to your style. It's a signature that I've noticed. So what inspires your look when it comes to your fashion?
Oh, well, I have to have a touch of Africa somewhere, whether it's jewelry or this outfit is is from Accra. And then braids was just, my, now that my hair, I did, I transitioned to, having my hair, natural. And of course I was like, okay, what can I do with the natural look? And I said, man, I really love braids. In my secondary school, it was compulsory for us to like have our hair in like cornrows or something. You couldn't wear. And so I felt like, okay, let me go back to, my uniform days. I mean, I wasn't allowed to have color.
Yeah.
So
let me come out and do me the way my hair would be.
Exactly what I would have done when I was in, in your secondary school. But I figured, okay, let this be kind of taking it back to, my days of secondary school when I had to have, cornrows or braids, and then just add a touch of color, which, of course, red is one of my favorites. And I just felt, that would be the look that I would, I'll rock out to for at least for a little while until I get tired of it and I think of something else to do.
Well, we love it on you. I think it's beautiful. So before you go, of course, I want to play a quick game with you. Okay. So you may have heard or seen that there's a card game that my family and I created. It's called the Pigeon Card Game. And if you speak Pigeon, then you will understand what some of these card games are. So I'm going to put you on the spot and see how well you remember your Pigeon.
I going to test it very well today.
So
how long ago I've been in Niger.
There you go. So I always say, this is where we go from, it's been great having our conversation to, are you ready? Shoti ready. Okay. So let's see. I'm gonna try you with these three cards here. So this card here, this is something that you would say to someone when, so each of these letters it's a word. So this is a saying. You would say this to someone when maybe you're trying to tell them to look inward, or they're doing something that's like over the top, and then you just say this to them. Okay. Like, you're telling them to look at themselves. But the way we would say it in Pidgin, let's say maybe they're just, everything is maybe going wrong. That's another thing you could say. Everything is just going wrong with them, and you're like,
I feel like saying Shay you for L.
not Shay, but okay, what's another way to say look?
Look. Look would be,
or how do you, but think of the letter, this letter S, it starts with, like if I say,
maybe shine your light, shine your eye, no.
No, so like somebody, you're trying to say to them like, look at you, like
your life.
See your life. You just said it. See your life.
I get
like, see your life. Okay.
See your life.
Okay. When somebody just doesn't want you to excel, you could call them this.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you would call them. They're never happy for you. They're always, you know, they're not rooting for you to do well.
Yeah.
I'm really testing you today.
Oh, you're testing me. Okay.
Older people may say this a lot. They're like, look at this person. They're
okay. E.
When somebody's not your friend, they're your
enemy of progress.
Enemy of progress.
That's a good one.
Okay, I'm gonna give you one. I'm gonna give you, because you're an artist, I'm gonna give you a music one. All right. You ready? Let's give you some music because you are an artist. Oh, this one's going to be.
I better get this one or else.
Okay, so this is, I would say, like one of the top 2, maybe top 3 biggest artists right now from Nigeria.
Yes.
He's younger. So I'm trying to get you to guess the artist, and I'll help you guess the song.
It's younger. It won't be.
He collaborated with Tiwa Savage, and there was rumors that maybe there was something going on between them at one point.
Okay, so possibly Wizkid.
Wizkid, that's the artist. Now, this song is these words are a hook in one of his songs. So he's saying that this person has a nice. God is giving them a uniqueness to their look. Mm-hmm. So this is the hook in the song, and another name for God is the first letter.
Eledumare.
Keep going.
Eledumare, bless me with your body. Oh,
yes, say it again. Say it again.
Eledumare, bless you with body. Oh,
yes. Eledumare, bless you with body. Good.
Okay, that's very good. You gave good descriptors, though.
Okay, the last one I'm gonna give you. I want to challenge you because you're an artist.
Okay.
So I got to give you one that I think. Okay, here we go. This is she's married to. Actually, no. All right. So this is the richest man in Nigeria.
Okay.
What's his name?
We have
Cement.
Yeah. Cause my baba no be done. Go
you just said it. Cause my papa no be done. Good job. Look.
There we go.
TolumiDE, thank you so much for playing the game with me, for joining us on Africa in Demand. And of course, before you go, please tell everyone, one, when is your album dropping? How can they find out about you, follow you, and pick up your music?
Yes. Please, I always encourage everyone to just go straight to my website, TolumiDeMusic.com. It's simply spelled TOLUMIDE, music, MUSIC.com. And on my website, you'll see links to all my social media. And certainly when you visit my website, your best way to just for me to keep you posted with all updates is to sign my email list. All you have to do, it will take you literally 10 seconds to just enter your email into my newsletter there, and so that I can send you updates. It's you can see a few updates on social media, but to get direct access, and updates and specials that I try and give for any merch, anything I sell online, or my music or my album. I always encourage you to please enter your email, because that's where I'll send out tour dates. That's where I'll send new music. That's where that's where you just kind of keep up with what I'm up to. And that's where you can also dialogue with me, share your own thoughts. If you have any thoughts about the music, that's where you'll be sure that I will see your message and I'll catch it. I'll do my best to catch you on social media, definitely. But the one true way is definitely to go to my website, TolumiDeMusic.com. And my handles are simply just TolumiDE on all the social media platforms. So just my name, TolumiDE, TOLUMIDE. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I wish you all the best. I cannot wait to hear the new album, Throwback, when it comes out. Please make sure you guys go get it. TolumiDE, thanks for joining us. Thank you all for watching Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. We'll see you next time.
Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. Hello and welcome to Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. I always like to make sure that people know that our guests are also incredible people that are speaking to something that they've not only studied but also experiences you've been to. So.
Most of the discord comes from just a misunderstanding.
Don't give excuse to things that you are supposed to be doing.
The truth is really finally starting to come out.
Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. Hello and welcome to Africa in Demand, your gateway to everything Africa. I'm your host, BC, and today we'll be discussing going against the grain. People who are successful doing things that are not the norm within the African community. Today I have with me